Thanks, everyone. So my name is Natalie Portier, and I'm a Chief Operating Officer of the company Appodeal, as you can see in my lanyard right here, which is really cool. Wish you all had it, but oh well. Anyhow, today I will be speaking, as Lisa said, I will be speaking about the future of mobile advertisement and where we all are headed. So it's a non-secret that we all are trying to head into the full optimization, into automation, and something that is more convenient to everybody, advertisers and publishers, to get more revenue for the traffic and to get the better placements for the advertisers. So the best way of automation of the ad ecosystem we saw in the desktops, which were the header biddings. The headers were those most profitable ads that were on top of the websites, and those were the most expensive ads. That was the best model, and the mobile advertisement is trying to follow that model, but it's not exactly working. And the reason to it is because the mobile bidding cannot replicate the header bidding, the desktop bidding. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'm going to try to unwrap all of this by explaining what I mean. The first model of monetization, ad monetization, that we all tried and we all experienced was the manual waterfall building. We all tried to look in the past and see what the ad networks performed yesterday and place those ad networks on top of the waterfalls. Well, actually, there's a shade of me, so I'll step here. On top of the waterfalls and go from there. And we'd place the less profitable ads on the second place and so on. Then we understood that that's actually not the best way, so we separated all of our placements, all of our ad impressions into several tiers. And we built those manual waterfalls for the different tiers. But we still use the same model, so which was less than perfect, well, it was far from perfect actually, because it required near constant optimization. It took a lot of resources, a lot of time, and it just did not perform well. It did not collect as much revenue. So what happened there is Mediations happened. Mediations was a player who started automating everything and basically put as many players as they possibly could fit into a single SDK and started performing by automating everything and optimizing all of these manual waterfalls. It was more convenient for sure, and it did optimize all of the waterfalls, and it was great, but it did not solve the main problems. It still delivered inaccurate, it still relied on the inaccurate historical data, and it delivered, well, we didn't know what it delivered because we couldn't see ahead of all the profitable eCPM campaigns that might have come to the lower eCPM networks from the yesterday. So that resulted in the lower revenue, and the best advertisers that were willing to get the best placements for the highest price couldn't get them because, well, they didn't have the best performance yesterday. So the market came to a conclusion that we need to include all or as many as the partners as possible into a single model, into a single maybe auction. Some of the networks started to accept the price floors, and by that they were able to get in front of the waterfalls, or at least somewhere closer to the waterfall, although they didn't have the best performance yesterday. That was called static price floors. So the mediation or a publisher itself would set up a price floor for a certain impression, and all of the campaigns that actually met that price floor or that relied on the historical data from yesterday that met the price floor got the impression, and everybody else was skipped over. However, not all of the networks were doing that. Not all of the networks were accepting the price floors. Some of the networks did not want to do and bother with the development of a new software. So they just relied on the historical data. So we met here a flat waterfalls. Some of the networks were relying on the historical data, and some of the networks were relying on the static price floors. And that actually got networks multiple positions of the waterfall and the earlier access to the more interesting, more profitable, more desirable placements, although it didn't perform well yesterday. That guaranteed to the network to actually get better placements, and more players could enter a single waterfall, which delivered a better eCPM for the publisher and, of course, better supply for the advertiser. However, so many networks were trying to enter the waterfall, and they were trying to make sure they will be on top of the waterfall, that some of the networks started to accept few bits, multiple bits, even though they didn't have any competitors. So that crowded the waterfall, and that slowed down the app performance by a lot. So that was not a very efficient model. New model came into place, and that was a dynamic price floor. Sorry, forgot. Dynamic price floor meant a network that was trying to get and accepted all of the price floors and were trying to get on top of the waterfall, saw the competition, historical data or competition bids over the price floors, and overbid the winning bid by 1 cent, and thus got on top of the waterfall, if the advertisers, of course, could allow that. That built a more convenient waterfall, more profitable for the publishers, and better placement, guaranteed better placements for the advertisers. And the winning networks would always go in front by overpaying 1 cent, which was great. However, the mediations that actually made this possible didn't make it fair. Why? Well, I'm going to tell you guys a secret. The mediations that are free, or pretty much probably any mediation or almost all mediations, have their own marketplace. So they're nothing else but an ad network that makes all of the optimization of the historical data traditional waterfall possible after they exhaust their own demand. So they get all of the best placements, and they actually write it in the contract. They write in the contract that we get to choose who goes on the first marketplace, on the first placement. So what happens is a mediator A just gets all of the direct advertisers and puts them all on the most desirable placements, and then everybody else gets in, and it didn't matter if the ad network B was willing to pay 3 times more for that most desirable ad placement. So, well, it didn't create the very fair situation. And actually, this exact situation happened in the desktop when the header bidding was created. So when the fair mediator, unbiased mediator came, the header bidding happened. The header bidding relies actually, the point of the header bidding is that it's performed by an unbiased mediation. The mediation doesn't care whoever wins the impression. It just wants to make sure that the advertiser that wants to get the top ad on the desktop will actually get that ad, and the publisher will get the money in return. So this is how it happened. The header bidding was happening on the server side, so it could go to as many partners as possible. It could go to 5, 10, wherever it was working with the demand partners it was working with. And whoever was bidding in the real-time auction, whoever bid the highest bid actually won the auction. And that's it. But as I said in the beginning, the mobile header bidding cannot work the same way. The mobile ecosystem does not rely on the CPM campaigns. What if today an ad network A overbids everybody else and they guarantee $100 eCPM for this rewarded video, the very first rewarded video that happens in the game? Let's not do the rewarded video, it's not really fair. Let's do the playable interstitial. So they guarantee you $100 CPM, or they bid with $100 CPM. But the playable interstitial doesn't get played, it doesn't get converted, it doesn't get clicked on, installed, anything. Nothing happens. So actually any impression goes to waste. Maybe the person went to get a sandwich and didn't even see it. You don't know. But would advertiser want to pay for this? Probably not. So what we are proposing is a soft header bidding. It will only rely on the bids, and it will see the bids as a suggestion of a price that a certain placement would worth. Of course, it will come with the price floor. Let's look at the model of this model. A mediation, unbiased mediation, sets up the price floor of the $10 CPM. And only 2 networks in this model overbid the price floor, and one at network A enters with a eCPM of $17, and the other at network enters with a bid of the $15 eCPM. So in the header bidding, the desktop header bidding, the eCPM with the $17 would win. But in the mobile, what happens is the mediator that made all of this possible looks in the historical performance and collects the data from the historical conversions of each networks. And it sees that the ad network A, that bid $17 CPM, actually normally pays 20% less than what they bid. And the ad network B, that bid $15 CPM, actually pays normally 5% more than the initial bid. So after simple calculations are applied, it is clear that there is more profitability, or probability probably, that the ad network B will actually pay more. So the most profitable and the most desirable placement goes to ad network B, although the bid was lower. This guarantees the highest revenue for the publisher, and it always guarantees the top placement for every advertiser the network is willing to work with. However, it's really, really important to mention that the unbiased mediation, who is going to make this all possible, will work, all of this will work on the server side. So it will be able to work with as many partners as the actual mediator working with. Will it be 5? Great. Will it be 10? Will it be 60? Who knows? But all of those are going to be engaged in the real-time auction. And you are going to make sure that this is the highest possible revenue that you can possibly get. Hopefully, that will happen sooner rather than later, and we will all be able to enjoy the perks of this new model. But if you would like to learn more, you're more than welcome to download more information from the white paper that we made from the link right there, bit.ly/future by Appodeal. And you can reach out to us at the email right there. We will be able to answer all the questions.